In this video, I want to share some small but important details to consider and look for and think about when it comes to traveling with just a carry-on. If you're planning to go carry-on only for an upcoming trip, sometimes it can feel overwhelming or impossible to do or feel like you're going to miss something. So I wanted to share a few things that I do that help make my carry-on travels seamless and effortless enough that checking a bag is never even an option anymore, no matter what type of trip I go on. The starting point is choosing the right carry-on bag, and there are a lot of things to consider. I could make an entire video about my favorite pieces of cabin luggage. In fact, I have made multiple videos, so I'll point you to that playlist here. There are a few small things that are really important, especially if you've never done carry-on only before. If you're worried about space or especially weight, a soft-sided bag is going to be much more flexible and practical for you. Because if it's teetering on the line of being a few centimeters or a couple of inches too big, a soft-sided bag is going to fit in the overhead bin every time or be able to be squished into a sizer in the small chance that you are asked to size your bag. I also generally prefer a bag with a top open style of opening, like opens like a lid instead of a clamshell, and I like that for easier access to my things. This comes in handy in many different scenarios throughout your travels, which I'll talk more about later, especially when it comes to dealing with liquids, and I'll touch on that in a second. For a roller carry-on bag, I like having 4 wheels instead of 2. I find 4 wheels just makes it so much easier for going down the narrow aisle of the airplane, but also better if you're making a flight connection. Maybe you have a long walk through the airport, maybe you have to take an air train. It's going to be a lot easier to walk through crowds in a busy airport. Especially if you have to walk fast or you have a lot of other things that you're carrying, I find 4 wheels are just so much easier to handle. And if you're walking fast, I just can't stand the speed wobble that happens with 2-wheeled bags. And yes, I've traveled to Europe multiple times with 4 wheels on my carry-on. I've never had an issue with wheels breaking or not being able to navigate the cobblestone streets. I'm also not walking like 10 or 15 minutes with my carry-on bag. If that's the case, then I just take like an Uber or a taxi from the train station to my hotel. So it's really only like a 1 or 2 minute walk. It's never a big deal. And pay attention to the handle too. You want it to work well with your personal items trolley sleeve, so you're not wrestling or fussing with it in the middle of the aisle while you're deplaning. Sometimes boarding a plane and deplaning can be a little bit stressful. You've got people behind you waiting to get to their seat or to get off the plane, and the last thing you want to deal with is a duffel bag that you can't get off your roller bag or put on easily. You just don't want any trouble. This is also just a small detail to think about for general handling too, like going up or down stairs at a train station or a hotel. This goes hand in hand with choosing the right personal item bag to pair with your roller carry-on. Your personal item bag is your secret weapon to bringing as much as possible, so you want to utilize it to its full extent. If you watch my channel, you know that 2 of my favorite personal item bags right now are the Away Everywhere bag and the Nomad Lane bento bag. They both serve different purposes, so I am working on a comparison video, but the best way to use each of these bags is when you're traveling carry-on only, because they sit on top of your roller suitcase, so you don't ever have to worry about carrying them on their own. They each hold a lot, which can almost double your carry-on space. And one final detail I find makes all the difference is a bag that has a smart front pocket on the top. That easy access pocket. I talk about this a lot, you know how important this is. A good example of this is actually on the new roller backpack from BagSmart. There are 2 front zip pockets, and these are perfectly placed for when your bag is in the overhead bin in case you need to grab something mid-flight. This is especially helpful if you're flying in the bulkhead row where there's no seat in front of you, and so you can't stow any items in front of you for takeoff or landing. You've probably seen this bag a lot on YouTube recently. They sent me one to try out a while ago, and I have to say I'm a lot more impressed than I thought I would be. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not really a 2-wheel girl, I'm more of a 4-wheel. So let me know in the comments if you want a deeper dive into this bag. I will say that so far it seems pretty good. It's a backpack, it's a carry-on that's gonna fit in a lot of sizes. I'll leave a link below if you are interested in checking it out for yourself. Next is liquids. This is often the biggest challenge for carry-on travel, but it's easier than you think with a few small changes. Start by replacing all the liquid items you have with a solid option. Things like my shampoo and conditioner, dry shampoo, my deodorant, my face wash, toothpaste, moisturizer, those all come in solid form, and I bring the solid form versions with me when I travel. For the remaining items, look for products that serve multiple purposes. So for example, a tinted moisturizer with SPF combines hydration, some light coverage, and sun protection all in one step. You can find bronzer and blush that can double as eyeshadow, or something like this multi-stick that works as an eyeshadow, lipstick, and blush. That's going to be the bulk of your toiletries, which leaves a lot of room for anything else that remains as a liquid. So if you have lots of makeup, there's a lot of room available now. And there's always the option of purchasing toiletry items upon arrival at your destination, and we often do this on trips. My advice here is to take a quick inventory of what you could live a day without, just in case you can't buy it right away. For example, on one recent trip, Chris and I decided not to pack contact lens solution. We figured we could easily find some in either the airport or at a nearby corner store by our hotel. But by the time we got to our hotel, we were so exhausted, and actually all the convenience stores were closed. Luckily, our hotel ended up having one of those small shops where we were able to find some, but I share this story as a way to think about choosing which liquids to keep and which to leave out if you do have to make some decisions. And here's how to streamline the process for getting through security with your liquids. Now, if I'm traveling with a top open bag, I pack my liquids at the top of the bag because it's very easy to unzip once it's on the bin before going through the X-ray machine. Otherwise, if I'm traveling with a clamshell suitcase, what I'll do is I'll put my liquids bag inside my personal item so that I can just pull it out without having to completely open up my full suitcase. Then once I'm through security, instead of placing the liquids back in my personal item, I'll bring my suitcase to one of the packing tables, open it up, and then pack it away for the journey. In most cases, I like having my liquids toiletry bag packed away into my carry-on instead of my personal item. This is just in the unlikely event that if something does start to leak, all of my valuables like my passport and my electronics, they're all with me in my personal item away from my liquids. Deciding on which shoes to bring can be tough, especially because they really do eat up space and weight. So my best tip is to wear your bulkiest shoes on the plane, but of course, they might not be the most comfortable, or they might be too hot, especially if it's a long flight. So the real tip here is what you can do is pack a pair of thin, lightweight slides that you can change into for the duration of the flight. Bonus if this can be a pair of slides that you would actually wear on your trip as well. So if you're traveling somewhere warm, it's a pair of sandals, or if you're traveling somewhere colder, maybe it's a pair of cushiony slides that can double as slippers. And yes, you can wear socks with Birkenstocks if you want. Don't let anyone tell you how to live your life. If shoes aren't your worst enemy when packing light, then it's probably the outfits. There are multiple different systems and methods to help you pack lighter. I'm working on a few new ones coming up, but right now I'm a fan of the 3x3x3 system or the 5-4-3-2-1 method. And if you're new here, I have a few videos on both those systems and methods, and I also have a few blog posts that outline some ideas as well. So check the description below for all the links to those pieces of content. But if you really want to keep it as simple as possible, 9 to 12 is the sweet spot. That's the number of pieces of clothing to pack. No more, no less, 9 to 12. I found this is kind of the magic number of items. It's what's going to yield you the most number and types of outfits while still being able to fit everything in a standard size carry-on. At the end of the day, it's a capsule wardrobe you're putting together, and the easiest way to do that is to pack versatile clothing pieces. Choosing the right fabrics really does help you pack lighter. I've talked about merino wool before. It's truly a great material to use when you travel. It's moisture wicking and it's odor resistant, so it can be worn a few times before needing a wash. This allows you to get away with fewer pieces and having to do less laundry. And I do have a major video coming up about laundry on the road, so stay tuned for that. So the right fabrics are one tactic to help you pack less, and then if you pair this with a few pieces that are as versatile as possible, you can pack so much lighter than you ever thought you could. For example, every time you pick up a piece of clothing, think about if it can withstand the 3 ways rule, as in, can this piece be styled 3 different ways at minimum? And this can be another way to help you visualize your outfits. For example, this is my little travel dress. It's merino wool, so it's comfy and it's breathable. And here's how I can style it at least 7 ways. Here's a beach or a pool dress. Here it is dressed up for dinner with heels. Here's for a casual day of sightseeing. Here's another dressy dinner outfit with a jean jacket and sneakers, maybe for shopping. An elegant evening or business outfit. And comfy casual. Packing versatile clothing pieces are key, but sometimes it's hard to figure out what those should be. So here's a couple examples for you. A little lacy camisole tank is a great example. Not only does it pack super flat because there's barely anything to it, it's a really great piece to dress up for an evening out or dress a little more casually with a pair of jeans. And something like a pashmina shawl, you can wear it as a layer over a dress or a more casual outfit, or you can use it to stay warm on the plane and use it to cover up your shoulders or your knees when visiting religious sites. Another little thing I do is use a sling bag as my tech bag for when I'm traveling. And then once I'm in my hotel, I can unload all the tech items, and now I've got another option for a day bag for when I'm sightseeing or hiking. And a tip I always like to share is that one of the problems when flying carry-on is that you're likely going to have a larger size bag under the seat in front of you. So if you're tall, just put that bag behind your legs, behind your knees after takeoff. Chris is 6'9", and if he can do it, so can you. I also put together a 5-minute packing audit that you can grab. It's a quick carry-on friendly checklist that walks you through the easiest things that make the biggest difference to pack lighter, be more organized, and just feel ready to go. It's totally free and you can download it from the link below or just grab the QR code on the screen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.